Los Angeles. And let's just say Los Angeles has some freaking ghosts in it. So since opening its doors in 1927, the Cecil has been plagued with 16 different non-natural deaths and unexplained paranormal events. The most famous death associated with the hotel, other than Lamb's, was the 1947 murder of actress Elizabeth Short. Does that name sound familiar to you? It should. That is the Black Dahlia, who was reportedly seen drinking at the hotel bar in the days before her grisly demise. And that would be a good one. We might have to jump into the Black Dahlia here a little bit, little follow-up action. The hotel also hosted some of the country's most notorious killers. In 1985, Richard Ramirez, aka the Night Stalker, lived on the top floor of the hotel during his monstrous killing spree. The story goes that after a murder, Ramirez would dump his bloody clothes outside the hotel and return half naked. Back then, the hotel was in such disarray that Ramirez's nude kind of stunt his streaking. People were just like, oh, there's a naked guy. They're just like, no, not even going to raise an eyebrow. Everything's all good. 6 years later, another murderous patron moved in. The Austrian serial killer, Jack Unterweger, I hope I'm pronouncing Unterweger correctly, who earned the nickname the Vienna Strangler. With such a macabre history, it would lead one to think that the Cecil Hotel would soon be condemned. Like, let's tear this fucker down. But actually, the old building was recently granted landmark status by the LA City Council. It was given the distinction because the building opening way back in the 1920s, which is considered the beginning of the lodging industry in the U.S. Meanwhile, the tragic death of Elisa Lam and at the hotel has inspired all kinds of pop culture stuff, such as American Horror Story Hotel. During a press conference for the show, Murphy, the creator, stated that the new season was inspired by that surveillance video, right? That footage of that girl in that elevator, who was never seen again, led him to create that show. Just hashtag fun, gruesome fact there, right? That's just a fun fact. But while the answers to the mystery behind the death of Elisa Lam still remain exactly that, it remains a gigantic mystery, the obsession surrounding that mystery has remained in the public consciousness ever since. Just an absolutely gut-wrenching, tragic, and macabre end to a young woman's life, which is as sad as it gets. A young woman that had a lot of life ahead of her. So let's roll back and recap a little bit of the death of Elisa Lam. So Elisa Lam's body was found in the water tank at the Cecil Hotel in February of 2013. It had been there for 3 weeks and was found because hotel guests complained that the water tasted and smelled bad. There was one account that when you turned on the faucet that the water was goopy and black. And I guess if you want to say that that's what corpse water looks like, I would not disagree with you. So the water was corpsey. She was last seen alive in an elevator in the hotel. All that kind of strange behavior, the hand gestures, the popping in and out of the hotel, the kind of peering out, looking, acting, behaving as if someone were following her. That 21-year-old Canadian student had bipolar disorder and was on medication, which it appears, based off of the autopsy report, that she may or may not have been taking entirely correctly, which could lead to some pretty manic side effects. So at the end of all of this, though, the real takeaway here is that police have never solved her death. And strangely enough, and maybe not strangely enough, but it seems strange to me, the coroner ultimately ruled it an accidental drowning. One thing that is very interesting, though, about this, a fact that we didn't talk about, is during the search for Elisa, police dogs picked up on her scent at a window that led out to a fire escape, right? So they did pick up on that. But her mysterious death at this haunted hotel continues to baffle investigators. It continues to baffle her family. It continues to baffle just us, casual observers, trying to figure out what happened to Elisa Lam. Now, we can go with probably the most probable explanation here, right? Someone that's suffering from significant mental illness, right? Someone that it appears maybe came off of their meds to an extent, and due to the side effects of maybe mismanaging some of those medications, that would lead one to act strangely, such as what we seen on the elevator. And then maybe the water tank was either a form of suicide. I'm again just drawing broad assumptions here, or in that compromised mental state, maybe just wanted to get into the tank for a swim. And I'm not trying to sound too kind of assholey here, but maybe, right? Maybe that's a pretty probable explanation of what could have occurred here. Again, and the evidence seems to back that up, especially if she went out on a fire escape. Maybe she made it to the roof via the fire escape, and then once you made it to the roof, it seems like maybe you could find your way into the water tank. I'm just saying that is probable, and it's definitely not impossible to imagine that happening. I will tell you, and I think with the things that we have all seen and shared in our lives, and especially on Really Fucking Scary Stories podcast, people are capable of some amazing feats, and they will find themselves into places that we could never imagine that they could get, like a water tank on top of the Cecil Hotel. A continued or a different explanation of that is that due to the hotel's haunted past, maybe there was something paranormal going on, right? There could be something paranormal continuing at the Cecil Hotel. It's with all the strange occurrences, all the interesting is probably not the right word. Let's say scary, dangerous, interesting. Let's say that people that lived and worked. I guess if you're a serial killer, that is your work. That lived and worked out of the Cecil Hotel. Maybe some of those evil entities or spirits were still hanging around and played a part in young Miss Lamb's death. Either way, the death of Elisa Lamb is, number one, it's sad, and it's tragic, and it's gruesome, and it's macabre, but it's also a really fucking scary story. Have you had a really fucking scary experience? Have you seen a ghost? Have you been on a macabre adventure? Would you like to share it on air? Would you like for us to tell that story? Or you just have something horrid that you would like for us to talk about? Head over to PaleHorseMediaCo.com. Use the contact form to let us know all about it. Make sure that you subscribe. New episodes come out every single Friday. We look forward to continuing this creepy, crawly, morbid, macabre, and grotesque adventure with you, the listener. We love you, and we will see you soon. Thank you for joining us today on our trip into the dark. We hope that you join us again next week for all things horror, all things macabre, all things grotesque, here on Really Fucking Scary Stories.